that step back. We are seeing a quarterback that he really is, which he is not a very good quarterback.
Welcome to the man now, what we taking over. It's time to give you them facts. Won't miss a game or two, cause we hit you and reporting all of them stats. We coming to you live to keep you updated. Broadcast across the country with the fan favorites. Break the volume to the max and don't nobody touch it. We cross the topics off the list, addressing every subject. So if you ain't got a clue, then you can tune in and give it 24 hours, and we back again. Breaking news, scoops, we the top dogs. From the fields to the court, we report it all. Buzzer beaters through your speakers, we the ones to call. Trust us for the news if it's got a ball. Giving you the top stories, cause we love to turn. Tell a friend to tune in and you heard first. Yeah, you're listening to the man now. We'll be taking over, it's time to give you them stats. Yeah, you're listening to the man now. It's a game of two, reporting all of the facts. Yeah, you're listening to the man now. We'll be taking over, it's time to give you them facts. Turn the speakers up a little loud. It's a game of two, cause we're reporting all of them stats. Cause you listen to the man now.
And what is up, Man Hour Nation? Michael Buckhouse here with the Man Hour. Be sure to head over to manhourradio.com and check out the merchandise page. We got the Beastie merch over there. We got the Team Buck merch. And of course, got the logo merch as well. We got a great show for you guys on today. We got to talk a little bit of Major League Baseball opening day. That's coming. That's exciting. Tom Brady wins again without even playing a snap in the 2022 season. And Bobby Wagner's rich, bitch. Speaking of rich, not Brandon Combs, not Michael Buckhouse, but it's not Beastie. What's going on tonight, man?
What is going on? What's going on, Buck? What's going on, Man Hour Nation? Belly Up Sports. Man, look, I wish I just have like a tenth of Bobby Wagner's contract. Just a tenth.
Right.
I mean, $50,000. That's all I'm asking. I mean, come on. You got it to spare, right, Bobby?
I mean, obviously he does. I mean, 50 million. I mean, I'm sure a lot of NFL players have a lot to have, stuff like that. So definitely okay.
Yeah, look, I mean, you got NFL players moving all over the place, and we're going to talk about that later on, because it seems like anybody who wants to make some money and anybody who's going to sign anything is going to the Rams, because they are ridiculous right now.
So speaking of ridiculous, Bruce Arians has decided to retire from the NFL just weeks after Tom Brady decided to come back, to run it back, as I like to say here in the biz nowadays, run it back. So, Combs, what's your first impression about Mr. Bruce Arians retiring from the NFL today?
Yeah, well, first things first, Buck, you got some mic issues going on. It actually sounds like you are, I don't know, like you're trying to make like a new remix album or something right now. So you might want to take a look at that. But Bruce Arians in Tampa Bay is, I know we say he retired, but I don't really think he retired. I think that Tom Brady wanted out of Tampa Bay because he was no longer wanting to play for Bruce Arians. I believe when you look at the situation as a whole, right? The retirement, the unretirement, now all of a sudden Bruce Arians leaving. There's a lot that leads up to it where you do start to believe, hey, maybe Tom Brady really didn't want to play for Bruce Arians. Maybe Tom Brady really wasn't on the same page with Bruce Arians. And so I don't know that that Bruce Arians necessarily retired, as much as I believe Tom Brady kind of forced Bruce Arians out the door, and now Todd Bowles is going to get a chance. And imagine, after watching what Todd Bowles was as a head coach previously, imagine if Todd Bowles wins the Super Bowl this year. That'd be nuts.
That would be nuts, especially since we are in the minority hiring frenzy here. It sounded a little bit better. I think the internet's acting up to me.
Yeah, no, you're sounding like I can't think of the rapper's name that does all them little things with the mic, but you kind of sound like you're doing some not 2 Chainz, but yeah, you sound like you're doing something. So
take over for about 5 minutes, Combs. I'm going to hardwire it in here, so bear with me. I can be back in a second.
Not a problem. All right, so we got Joey in the chat. What's going on, Joey? But when you look at Tampa Bay, and Joey, I don't know if you feel the same way I feel about this right now, but I think that Tampa Bay really did become Tom Brady's team. And I think that Tom Brady in Tampa Bay and Tom Brady coming back to Tampa Bay, and the only way I think he put the pressure on, I think he went into the front office. I think he spoke with ownership and he said, look, Joey says, you sound like Jamie Foxx on Blame It on the Goose, Scott. You feeling loose? But no, I think he went into the front office. I think he had a conversation with ownership. And I think that Tom Brady said, look, I'm coming back, but the only way I'm actually going to play and the only way this is going to be good for anybody is if Bruce Arians steps down, because I will not play for him. Other than that, I'm going to request a trade, and then I'm going to be vocal about it. And I don't think the Tampa Bay Buccaneers wanted anything to do with that. I don't think they wanted to touch any part of that. I think that, I think Tom Brady sort of just bullied his way through. And it's weird because I can't remember ever speaking really ill of Tom Brady, right? I mean, obviously we've had the Deflategate thing. Obviously, some people call him a crybaby. Some people say the NFL cowered to him, blah, 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 blah. This man is the greatest quarterback I have ever watched play the game of football. This man is the epitome of what you want your franchise quarterback to be for the next 20 years, right? Because you want a guy who's going to take charge. You want a guy who can take less money so that you can pay other players so that you can consistently be a winning franchise. You want a guy who can take wide receivers who are no names with any other team. Then you saw Aaron Rodgers sign that large contract. Was the meme where Tom Brady's at the top saying, I took less money so that I could bring the kids who look up to me to more Super Bowls. And at the bottom of that, Aaron Rodgers says, fuck them kids. To me, that is the epitome of what Tom Brady is. So to be talking about Tom Brady coming in and bullying his way into another man having to step down, another man having to lose his job, to me, that's tough to talk about, because I just don't understand where that would be coming from. I don't understand, where Tom Brady would be going with this. And I don't know if that's necessarily good for the locker room, right? Because if I'm on that team, what am I thinking next? Well, what if all of a sudden Tom's got a problem with me? Do I get traded too? What if all of a sudden, I drop too many passes? Is Tom gonna make me go to another team as well? Like, those are the things that start going through guys' heads. And I don't know that this is such a good look for TB12 and his, I don't want to say his pedigree. I don't want to say his legacy, because I think that is already cemented. But what I do think, yeah, absolutely, Joey, I agree with you 110%. 110%. It's a LeBron moment. It really, really is a LeBron moment. And I don't know how good of a look this is going to be. I don't know how well it's going to play in the locker room. So that leads me into my next question is, are the Bucs still the Super Bowl favorite now with all of this going on? I don't know that the Bucs are necessarily a Super Bowl favorite, especially with all this going on. Teams with this much in-house turmoil, and we call it in-house because they like to pretend like we can't see or depict what's happening behind closed doors because it's happening behind closed doors. But I mean, the writing's pretty much on the wall. And with the way that the Los Angeles Rams are spending money, I mean, they've got an NFC freaking Pro Bowl team for a roster, and they only got better this offseason. And then you had all the shenanigans in the AFC West. They only got better this offseason. The AFC is just, I mean, absolutely positively stacked. The Cleveland Browns got infinitely better by adding Deshaun Watson. Granted, he might not get to play for the first 4 to 6 weeks, which I think is stupid too.
It's not stupid.
But it is stupid. What do you mean it's not stupid?
He broke the law, brother.
He really? Because the grand jury said he didn't.
The first one. What about the second one?
Well, the second one hasn't said anything yet, but I don't think that the second one. Oh, you're out of your damn mind. Out of your damn mind.
Do I
but
sound better
welcome
now?
back, Buck. Yeah, you do. Much better. So, what do you think, Buck? Did Tom Brady force this on Bruce Arians?
So, I think so. Just because if we look at all the offseason rumors that have really not really made the surface, but they're out there. We've seen rumors of Tom Brady wanting to go to Miami. We've seen rumors of Tom Brady wanting to go to San Francisco for 49ers to like play for his hometown team, right? And basically the Bucks, aka Bruce Arians, said absolutely not. We are not trading you. We are not doing anything whatsoever. So you can basically, you can retire, or you can be a Tampa Bay Buccaneer. And in the end, we saw exactly what happened. Tom Brady came back, and Bruce Arians retired. So, the writing is on the wall. Everything is right there. If you look at it, Tom Brady said, "I'm not playing this man." We had public rifts, and quite frankly, I'm the only reason why you won that Super Bowl. Not because of you, not because of Byron Leftwich, not because of Chris Godwin, not because of Mike Evans, and because of me. If you want to win, Bruce Arians has to go, or I will stay retired, and I want to get traded, or I will force a trade. So definitely. Tom Brady forced Bruce Arians out. And on the flip side, hasn't Bruce Arians been retired for the last 3 or 4 seasons anyways because of like health issues?
Yeah, I think you got about halfway through that, Buck, and then all of a sudden you went back into T-Pain mode. I don't know. I don't know what's going on with your. Is
it better now?
Yeah, a little bit. Like it goes in and out. But I agree with you. Like I really do. I think that you are spot on. I just don't know how good, and I don't know how much you heard of it while you were trying to mess with your mic, but I just don't know how good of a look is this? How bad of a look is this for TB12, a guy who, I mean, I get it. Like I said a few minutes ago, I understand we had the Deflategate, and obviously there was Spygate and all that other stuff that happened with New England. But that was never something that we, always put through as a Tom Brady legacy moment, right? That's not something, and Buck just left. So I'm asking him a question that he can't answer. Maybe he'll come back here in just a second. Oh, there he is. Look at you looking better and bigger and better than ever. What the hell you got in the background there?
Tori put it in there last night, so I don't know what that is.
Oh God, you sound much better now. You're in the Deer District. Oh God.
Yeah.
That's the Milwaukee
21
Bucks.
champions, right?
Oh God, they're terrible. Oh, take it down. All right. So my question, Buck, before you fell off there, my question to you is, how bad of a look is this for TB12? Because again, we've had Spygate, we've had Deflategate, we've had all that stuff, but it was never something that we really held. Tom. It was never really like we didn't blame Tom Brady for it, right? Like even after he came back from his suspension with Deflategate, like even myself, I found myself rooting for him to win and win the Super Bowl just despite Roger Goodell, right? But now you got a guy who just forced another man out of his job and bullied his way out of a job. And how does that get perceived in the locker room, right? Because what is a guy like Chris Godwin thinking? Or what is a guy like, somebody on his offensive line thinking? What happens if I screw up? And what happens if Tom Brady isn't happy with how I'm performing? Am I next to get to lose my position?
Right. So when you first think about that, so funny story is I finished watching the Arena Sunday or Monday. I finally finished the final episode, and then I jumped on YouTube, and the very first video that I saw, so if you guys ever think Google is watching and seeing what you do, this is exactly it. This was a Tom Brady deflate gate video, basically saying that Tom Brady never let any air out of the balls. They measured the balls in 72-degree temperature in a room, and then they walked outside and the air shrinks, and therefore the PSI drops. So take it as you will, but this is not a bad look for Tom Brady at all. This is just because everything is not geared toward Tom Brady. This is like Bruce Arians has come out and said there is no rift between me and Tom, which that is a complete lie. We saw it last year, or hell, we saw it the first year when what was it, week 6 or week 7 when they're like a 500 team. And they're saying, yeah, everybody needs to play better, including Tom, right? Or like I don't remember like exactly what he said. I'm paraphrasing there, like obviously, but ever since that point in time, we have seen the rift in Tom Brady. Now, as far as the players aspect of it goes, Tom Brady just wants to win. Let's just be flat out honest. Tom Brady wants to win. All the players know it. All the coaching staff knows it, and if Tom Brady is the best quarterback on your team, puts you in the best position to win, the players don't give two rats' asses. Let's just be totally honest about it. They don't care. So, and we all know that Bruce Arians was just a figurehead anyways, because Byron Leftwich was calling the offensive plays. Todd Bowles was calling the defensive plays. So Bruce Arians was just a placeholder. So it is not a bad look on Tom Brady whatsoever. If anything, it is a bad look on Bruce Arians, because why didn't he retire months ago? Why didn't he give Todd Bowles a chance to, play in free agency and do this and do that, right? Yeah. So if anything, it's on Bruce Arians.
Yeah, man. I don't know if I would put this on Bruce Arians though, right? Because look, Tom retired. Tom was out. Tom was gone. So why would Bruce Arians think, hey, I need to let this go. I need to jump ship. I need to step down. I need to do all this. I don't think I think he fully planned on being the head coach of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and then over the last 3 weeks, all of a sudden Tom said, "You know what? Screw this. I'm not ready to retire. I still want to play football. I just don't want to play for Bruce Arians." And he came back to Tampa Bay. He sat down in the front office and he said, "Look, you either trade me or you need to let Bruce Arians go, because I will not play for him. So you could either do one of two things. You can let Bruce Arians go, or you can deal with me getting very vocal about wanting out of Tampa Bay."
Or it is this.
Tom.
Maybe Tom Brady retired as a say, hey, I am serious. I don't want Bruce here. So Tom retired just to kind of push them to that point to making Bruce Arians retire. Just because I am reading a report here that the day Tom Brady retired, Bruce Arians come and told Tom Brady that he is retiring. So 3 weeks ago, Bruce Arians knew he was going to retire. And then Tom Brady retired that very same day. So that was basically Tom Brady calling his bluff. Like, you know what? I don't want you. I'm retiring first. So suck on this.
Yeah, man. It's such a sticky situation because it's not a good look for Tom. It's really not. I mean, because all signs point to Tom forcing his way and getting his way. I mean, that's just that's perception, right? Perception's reality. We say it all the time. Perception's reality. And the perception is that Tom Brady didn't want Bruce Arians to be that, didn't want to be their head coach. He didn't want to play for him anymore. And so Tom Brady bullied his way into it. He said, "Look, I'm Tom Brady. I've won you a Super Bowl. I can probably win you another one. You're going to do what I want you to do, or I'm going to go play somewhere else."
I don't know, man. It just it is a very sticky situation, but in the end, Bruce Arians is still in the front office, so he's still going to have some type of pull, right? Some type of this and this and this, and I see Michelle says as long as Gronk stays, that's all that matters. So I don't think Gronk is coming back. I think Gronk is done.
No, Gronk's coming back. Gronk's coming back and playing with Tom one more year. Yeah, Gronk was in. I saw a video of him probably about a week ago where he was in a barber shop, and they said, they said, "Hey, are you coming back?" And he goes, "Haha, you're not going to get me this time." Because remember last year he said it in a barber shop, and he said he was coming back, and that's how it got announced because somebody posted the video. And he goes, but. He's like, you know what? Tom made me sweat it out for a few weeks, so maybe I'll let him sweat it out for a few weeks, feeling what it's like without me. So he's gonna come back. He's gonna play another year with Tom, and then he's gonna go out when Tom goes out, which I believe will be at the end of this year. Are they still your Super Bowl favorite?
The Buccaneers?
Yeah.
You know what? We are going to talk about them later in the like in the show. They are adding some pieces that I really, really like, but I think the Rams are the Super Bowl favorites right now in the NFC.
Yeah, I mean, look, the Rams are really, really good. Again, obviously, defending Super Bowl champions. The AFC West got so damn good.
Yeah.
Got so damn good. The Cleveland Browns got infinitely better with Deshaun Watson, like I was saying as you were coming back on. I can't put Tampa Bay up there, especially a team like this that has to go through something like what they're going through right now, right? And I don't care. Look, I love Tom Brady, and I say it again until the day he dies. He's the best quarterback in the NFL. But a team that goes through stuff like this usually doesn't fare very well, right? A team that has to go through all of this turmoil heading into a season, it usually doesn't add, it doesn't add that aspect of camaraderie as much as it does start separating the teams from one another, the players from one another. So I don't see I see Michelle and Joey going back and forth, but I don't see this going well for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I wouldn't put the Tampa Bay Bucs as my favorite right now, although I always say don't bet against Tom Brady. I wouldn't bet on him this year.
Yeah, it is very, very tough to vote on somebody that retired and then come back. But speaking of coming back, opening day, Combs, is just a week away. I believe April 7th is the first major league game of the 2022 Major League Baseball season. When we look at the divisions in baseball right now, Combs, some teams are retooling. The Twins come to mind. The Giants, it is an even year, so they always have a shot. In your mind right now, Combs, what is the best division in baseball?
God, I mean, all signs kind of want you to say the National League West, right? Because of how good the Dodgers are, how good we expect, how much better actually we expect the San Diego Padres to be. The Rockies are a little bit better. The Giants last year came out of nowhere and were one of the best teams in baseball. But I'm actually going to go to the American League with this one, and I'm going with the American League Central, actually. I know that the Toronto Blue Jays got a lot better. I know the Yankees are good. The Red Sox are good. Tampa Bay always seems to be one of those teams that stays relevant. And the Orioles are I think they're spending like $5 this year on payroll. But the American League Central got sneaky better this year.
I think you mean the East, right?
No.
Could you just name all the teams in the East?
I did name it. I said people would think that I'm going to say the East, but I'm going to say it's the Central. The White Sox were already good. They have a great roster. I love what they're doing with Abreu. They got Eloy Jimenez. They got Luis Robert. They just didn't do enough for me to help shore up the back end of their rotation. And not only that, but they didn't add any depth for second base. They desperately need an everyday second baseman. They didn't add enough depth for right field. Eloy Jimenez just is not an outfielder, needs to DH a lot more. And then Andrew Vaughn got hurt again, in the preseason, a couple days ago. Again, playing out of position, much like Eloy Jimenez was last year when he got hurt. So apparently they didn't learn their lesson. But I really like this roster that they have. The Detroit Tigers got better. I mean, the Detroit Tigers adding Javier Baez in the offseason. The Detroit Tigers, they still have Eduardo Rodriguez. They got Michael Fulmer in the bullpen. They did add Andrew Chafin, a guy who I watched here in Chicago with the Cubs. They also added Michael Pineda. They've still got Casey Mize coming up, who's a very good prospect. He's going to be their third man in the rotation this year. They added Tucker Barnhart, a great addition as a catcher. Guy can hit. Jaime Candelario, that guy is just very underrated. And so I really think that the Tigers are going to be a lot better than a lot of people think that they will be. But then what the Minnesota Twins did, the Minnesota Twins sneaking in, getting themselves Carlos Correa. Then they also added trying to think Gary Sanchez. They traded for Gary Sanchez. They traded for Gio Urshela from the Yankees. Not to mention, you add that on top of what they already had there at third base with Luis Arias and then Jorge Polanco and Miguel Sano. This team right here is sneaky good. They put Sonny Gray in the rotation now. They've got Joe Ryan and Dylan Bundy still. And Jarrell Cotton in the bullpen is just I really like this team. I think this team is actually going to win the division as much as I do like the White Sox and how young they are. But I'm going with the American League Central. And that's where I'm at.
Yeah, and you forgot two teams there in the Central. The Kansas City, my team, obviously they took huge leaps and bounds last season, and they added some depth to the pitching rotation by bringing Zach back to the team. And the Cleveland Indians, they have one of the
Cleveland Guardians.
Oh, the Cleveland Guardians. I'm sorry, you can't say Indians. It's like it is bad. But the Cleveland Guardians, they do have one of the best pitching rotations, I think, in the Central with Shane Bieber in there, and then a bunch of other guys that they consistently win a lot of games with pitching. Now their offense is still hit and miss, as I have watched a lot of their preseason games. Just their hitting isn't there, but the pitching will be there, and pitching does win championships, or at least a lot of games.
Yeah, I really like Framil Reyes. I really like Austin Hedges. I really like who's the kid that they got at second base, Jimenez. That pitcher rotation too. I mean, it can be sneaky good if they're healthy. Shane Bieber, Savali. They've got that Tristan McKenzie kid who looks like he weighs about 84 pounds and is about 7'3". But that team is going to be a good team. This is going to be a team where I think that three teams from this division could go to the playoffs, and I think the other two teams will be teams that are left behind with winning records.
Yeah. So I do like the Central, obviously, but the division that I think is going to be the best in baseball is the National League East. I mean, you have four teams in that division that I think could easily get 85 wins or higher. With the Washington Nationals, with the odd team out there. I mean, the Braves, yes, they did lose Freddie to the offseason trade, but they picked up a really good first baseman from the A's. The Mets, we all thought the Mets were going to be great last year. Hell, wasn't it spring training? They practiced how to celebrate at a championship game, right? And then of course you had the Phillies that are always there, but the Miami Marlins are going to be a surprise team this year. I think they sneak out and do get 85 wins this season, and it is going to be the NL East is going to be a sneaky good division. And heck, when we're talking about the Nationals as the odd team out in that division, the Nationals are still a pretty good team though too.
What about the Marlins makes you say 85 wins? That's
I just
interesting
feel,
to me.
I feel like they just have like a chip on their shoulder, like because like they've been proved wrong for so long, and then it just something tells me that this year they're going to have a chip on their shoulder, and they're going to come out and they're going to surprise a lot of people early, which that will give them a big league. But then they come back to like a 500 team, after the All-Star break. But April, May, June, they're going to come out firing.
You know what? I don't think you're crazy. Like, I think you're crazy, but I don't think you're crazy that much for that take. I do like the addition of Jacob Stallings, a very good hitting catcher that they picked up from Pittsburgh. They did add your boy Jorge Soler, and Mr. World Series MVP himself. But Jazz Chisholm is just one of those young and up and coming stars that you have to watch all the time. Jesus Aguilar can really swing the stick.
Right.
And they picked up Avisal Garcia as well. This could be a sneaky team, could be a sneaky pick. I don't see 85 wins. I think this is more of like a 72, 73 win team, but I mean, still that'd be better than what they were last year. I mean, so
right. well, and then the biggest thing here is do not sleep on Soler either, because last season with the Kansas City, he was batting like 119, right? And then he got traded to the Braves, and he just blew up. Like man, where's this guy been all season? And I think he finally has that confidence back. He has been to the World Series twice now, with the Braves and Kansas City. So maybe he is that veteran leadership that they need, to kind of give him that momentum.
He's only been to the World Series once, and that was with the Braves. He was
with
with
the
Kansas.
Chiefs, or the Rose.
The Royals went in 2015. He was still in the Cubs minor leagues at that point.
I could have sworn he was with the Royals. My fault.
No. Cubs traded him in 17 when we traded the Kansas City to get Wade Davis.
Okay. How did that turn out for you?
I don't want to talk about it.
So speaking of trades and not making a lot of trades, Tony La Russa is calling out the fans and says anyone who thinks we did not add enough players to this team is not a fan. Is Tony La Russa right, or is he barking up the wrong tree?
So look, I don't like the addition of Tony La Russa. I didn't like it last year. I don't like his style. I don't like who Tony La Russa is for this team. I think he's going to cost them more games than he's going to win them. But I actually agree with him here. I think he's off base. I think that they did have, they needed to pick up more depth at second base. They did add Josh Harrison, and I think that's a nice little addition. The guy's got very good bat the ball skills. You can play a really good defensive second base. They did not add enough to strengthen that second base spot. And then you've got Gavin Sheets in right field. And I'm not in love with Gavin Sheets in right field either. Those were two holes that they had. Also, the back end of the rotation. How good are Michael Kopech and Dallas Keuchel going to be this year? Can Dylan Cease rebound and be more consistent than he's been over the last two seasons? And so I felt like they needed to go out and make a trade, maybe with Oakland, to get one of their two stars, either Frankie Montas or the other guy's name is escaping me right now. But they could have went out and gotten one of those two guys, traded a guy like Andrew Vaughn or something like that, a nice chip. I like Andrew Vaughn a lot, but they could have done more to strengthen up that back end of the rotation. But when I say that he's right, I mean, look, Lance Lynn, Lucas Giolito, Dylan Cease, you got Kendall Graveman in the bullpen. You've still got Liam Hendricks, and you still got Craig Kimbrell, Rondal, Abreu, Josh Harrison, Yohan Moncada, Tim Anderson, Eloy Jimenez, Luis Robert, and Gavin Sheets, and Andrew Vaughn. And this lineup is just fierce, man. And they do have enough to win right now. I thought they had enough to win last year. It's going to be one of those where it's just you have to wait and see how this plays out, because look, I think a lot of the perspective goes to the fact of how much better Detroit got and how much better the Minnesota Twins got while you stayed stagnant. And so I think that magnifies it a little bit, especially to the fans, right? They're like, oh, well, they made all these moves and we didn't do nothing. Well, you also won the division last year. You were also in the playoffs last year. You probably should have went a little bit further than you did. Your manager cost you a playoff run, but that's what it's going to be again. And so he's right in the fact that they have enough to win, but he's wrong in the fact that they didn't need to add, because they absolutely needed to add. They also needed to subtract, and who they needed to subtract is the guy who said that they didn't have to do anything, and that's Tony La Russa, because he's a clown.
Right. One more alcohol poison, he will be on the Ring of Honor, right? So
Alpha Robs, I see you in there real quick before we get to Buck there. Alpha Robs asking about my birthday. I did have a great birthday. We went out for a nice steak dinner with my parents and Michelle's parents. My mom ended up busting out some home plate seats for Cubs versus Cardinals in June. So I'm all about it right now.
Slow down, baby. Damn.
Yeah.
Okay. There we go. Well, so Combs, this is the one thing weird about baseball, right? Is the Major League Baseball offseason, you don't really need to make that many moves because of the trading deadline in Major League is so that is when most of the moves happen, right? So let's say your team is starting to lose a lot of games and All-Star break comes along, you start dumping all of your good players. It happens every year, every season. So if the White Sox want to add players, they have 3 or 4 months to add players still. Because like right now, like everything that you said is their roster should have won a lot of games last season, which they did win some games, but they should have went deeper in the playoffs. But think about this: one more year underneath a old manager with a young team, that gives you time to gel, time to learn each other, time to learn the old school mentality of baseball. So the Chicago White Sox are just fine. They didn't need to make any big moves. And if they need to make big moves, come June, July, they still have plenty of time. So the White Sox fans are like Patriots fans. They're like, if like we need to do this, and this, and if it doesn't happen, we suck, right?
Yeah, they've got enough to stay afloat. They got enough to at least be, if they're not leading the division by the trade deadline, they'll at least be within striking distance. And you're right, that's when they can make their move. They've got plenty of pieces to trade. So wherever they do find themselves having holes, they can do that. But I mean, it's a big if, but if Dallas Keuchel returns to form, if Michael Kopech can stay healthy, if Dylan Cease can be more, consistent in that rotation, and if Harrison can stay healthy as well, they don't need to add anything. I mean, they've got one of the greatest closers of all time in their bullpen, and he's not even closing for them. He's their 8th inning guy. And then they've got Leon Hendricks, who's one of the best closers in the game right now. They don't need to do anything. So if all those things fall in line, they're golden. But if a couple of those things fail, they've got enough pieces to move and fill some holes by the trade deadline.
Yeah, and the 2 things that I'm excited to watch for the Chicago White Sox this season is the involvement of Tim Anderson. I kind of like last year, I kind of fell in love with him just because he is so fast. He loves the game of ball, and just speed kills. You cannot teach speed. And yes, he is suspended for I think for the first 25 games of this season. What?
It was a 3-game suspension for bumping an umpire. And then I believe I was reading something before. I didn't get to read it all, but I saw something that said it might actually get reduced down to 1 or 2 games. So
okay,
Yeah.
I was thinking of the wrong person for the steroids, and that was my bad. But also, I'm excited to see what Lance Lynn can do this year, second season with the White Sox as well. Because I didn't think Lance Lynn was as dominant as he could have been last year. So I'd be kind of surprised to see if he can be the true ace of of this team.
I like Lance Lynn. I love Tim Anderson, man. Look, I know I'm a Cubs fan. I bleed Cubby blue. I really love that team. But I love the game of baseball, and I respect the players, and I watch all of them. And Tim Anderson, the flair that the kid plays with, he's never out of it. He's never down. He will single-handedly bring you back into a game. And sometimes it's not even with a bat or with the glove. It's just with his presence. And that's what I love about that kid, because you're right. You can't teach what he has. What he has is just that it factor. And he is one of my favorite players in the game to watch. I will actually probably end up with a Tim Anderson jersey before the season is over, to be honest with you.
Yeah, 100% honest. So speaking of honesty, the Houston Astros have never been really honest, and the cheating scandal is still coming afloat. And Brian Cashman is still upset about the cheating scandal, the banging of the trash cans years ago. Is it time to just get over it, Combs?
Look, you know me, I hate the Astros. I think the cheating scandal was absolute garbage. I think that the players got away with way too much, and I think that the clown in charge of all of it is the reason why they got away with so much. And I think it is. I think it's time to just get past it. It's over. It was 2017. It's done. They won the World Series. They cheated. You know, they got away with it, but MLB let them get away with it. So, you know, it to me now it's kind of like the steroid era, right? Where at this point you just have to just start letting things go. And look, half the team is gone now, right? Like they're not even like Carlos Correa is in Minnesota now, and they've got some other players who have moved on as well. I think it is time to move on. I think it was funny reading Brian Cashman's tweets. I don't know if you saw him, but Brian Cashman so what they had asked Brian Cashman was why he gets so bent out of shape when somebody tells him that they haven't been back to the World Series since 2009. And he says, you know, I get really offended by that, because the only reason why we haven't been back to a World Series since 2009 because the Astros beat us in 2017 and they were cheating. Well, Brian Cashman, you haven't been back to the World Series since 2009 because you spend your money in all the wrong places. You buy all of the big bats that you can, and you bargain shop for pitching. That's why you haven't been back to the World Series since 2009. It's not because of the cheating scandal. It's a little micro part of why you didn't get there in 2017, but it's not the reason you haven't been back since 2009. So, you know, it was kind of funny. It was comical. You know, I love watching when teams and GMs of that stature, right? Because look, the Yankees are the model team of Major League Baseball, right? They've won 27 World Series. They've won, you know, countless amounts of divisions and countless amounts of trophies. They've got more retired numbers than they actually have numbers. So they've got all the players. They've had that pedigree, and to watch that GM of that team try to blame somebody for cheating is, you know, the reason why they haven't gone back to the World Series in 13 years. It's a little comical to me.
Well, see, and Combs, this is the biggest issue with baseball right now is the old school mentality. They are going to hang on to this thought until the day they die. Just think about this. Every time a batter hits a home run and he does a little strut, right? The pitchers will literally hang on to that for 2 years down the line and then peg him the next time they see him. So he will never get over it, sadly. And yes, it is definitely time to move past it. The sanctions were hand down, I guess you can say, and just like you said,
coach.
yeah. And then, you know, I think they only got 3 players left that were increment parts of that team left on there. So yeah, I mean, it's definitely time to get past it. But baseball is a culture that you will never get past it until the Yankees beat the Astros again.
You know what will be interesting to see when Carlos Correa retires, and when Jose Altuve, it's still up in the air whether or not he'll be a Hall of Famer. But I think Carlos Correa is probably the most surefire of everybody who was on those teams. When he retires, does he get voted into the Hall of Fame, right? Because, I mean, we haven't let Barry Bonds in because of cheating, right? We haven't let Roger Clemens in because of cheating. How does Carlos Correa get in then? So, you know what I mean? Being a part of one of the biggest cheating scandals, actually won a World Series by cheating.
Right.
How do you justify letting a guy like that in when you still haven't let those guys in?
Here's how I could justify that. I mean, you only got caught for 1 year, right? So I mean, it wasn't like it was the 10 years over your lifetime, right? Like it was 1 year that they allegedly did it, and I want to use that word very, very loosely. Allegedly did it because that other teams were doing the same thing. The Houston Astros just happened to get caught, and then when you look at these other players, do these other players take that source of knowledge to the other teams? So no, like I don't think like this will never really surface again ever, just because it was a team thing. It wasn't an individual player thing. I mean, it's like it is not like they were banging cans just for one guy, or for the fourth hole or whatever. It is for the whole team. So I think it kind of gets overlooked and kind of glazes over because of the fact that
It does get overlooked, but you say you only got caught for that 1 year, sure, but the one fact is still remains: Barry Bonds never got caught.
Right.
You know what I mean? So you look at that aspect of it, but also at the same time with like the Houston Astros, none of the players got the punishment. The coaches got the punishment. Then you looked at Alex Cora, who the very next year he was everybody said he was the mastermind behind all of that. Then he got the head coaching job in Boston in 2018. Buck, who won the World Series in 2018?
I would assume it was the Boston Red Sox, right?
It was the Boston Red Sox, and they were a team that was picked to finish last in that division.
Huh.
I wonder. Yeah, exactly. And that's, so that's what I'm saying. Like, yes, of course, everybody was doing it. Just like the steroid era, right? Everybody was doing it. I've said countless times. I even believe that the people that say, no, this guy definitely wasn't juicing, I believe they were juicing. Cal Ripken was juicing. Ken Griffey was juicing. Everybody was juicing. It was like an Oprah episode of steroids. Like, everybody gets it. But I don't know how that's when, to me, it gets interesting, because I don't know how you explain that one off. Like, I don't know how you explain, hey, cheating in this aspect is not okay, but cheating in this aspect, it's okay.
Well, yeah, I mean, you do make a great point there. I mean, like, I don't have any fire about that, but I mean, honestly, I forgot the Astros cheated until you until you said something pre-show here. So as the average fan viewer, it kind of gets glazed over. But then of course you have those baseball writers that like to hold, their something word. I can't even think of it now. But the writers want to do their thing and keep people in and out. So I mean, I think he gets in, but only time will tell here in about 10 years or so, maybe 15 years.
Right.
With that being said, Bobby Wagner signed a great deal with the LA Rams. What was it? 3 years, $50 million, I believe it was, Combs. Something like that. First things first, the Rams keep adding players, spending millions upon millions of dollars. Do you think they are in this must-win now window right now for the next 3 years, and then after 3 years, after Matthew Stafford is done and these other big players' contracts come up, they will never see the light of the playoffs again? Are they in a must-win now mode?
I think they're in a go for the short-term dynasty mode. I really do. I don't know how they're not over the cap.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like I what's the cap?
I think it's like $245 million, isn't it?
God, it's got to be. Yeah, it's got to be something. I thought it was like 252, but regardless, I mean, they just added. How many years was this deal?
I believe it was 3 years. So let's look at their top players for cap hits now. So Aaron Donald has his base salary is $9 million. His cap hit is $26 million. Jalen Ramsey's cap hit is $23 million. Cooper Kupp's is $18 million. Matthew Stafford 13.5. And then you have a slew of players with $8 or $9 million dollars as well. So I mean, their top 4 players are taking almost half of the cap. Like, I don't understand how that works.
Yeah.
Like,
so I just looked it up. So prior to signing Bobby Wagner, they had $8.8 million in cap space. Now, $50 million over 3 years. That's, I mean, you're getting a little over $15 million a year, probably about closer to $17 million a year. So, I don't know. They're going to be over the cap. They're going to have to cut some cap space there.
well, people do this like all the time. So they basically make a lot of their salary into signing bonus. The line just like, hey, once you sign on this dotted line, you get $12 million, right?
Here's a $50 million signing bonus. You're going to play for free for the next 3 years.
Yeah.
Here's your $50 million up front.
Well, Odell Beckham Jr. was basically making zero money in salary last year because his was all through Bitcoin, right? So let's look at a player like Matthew Stafford. Yes, he is making $63 million, right, for the Rams, but so that's roughly about $13.5 million a season. $12 million of that is a signing bonus. So Matthew Stafford is only making $1.5 million this season as far as like incentives and stuff like that.
They've got to count the Bitcoin as money, though, don't they?
I don't know how that works because
I would assume because otherwise then everybody would do it, right? Because then my salary cap would be, $100 million, and I could sign all the best players in the world for Bitcoin, and my salary cap never raises.
Yeah, I don't know how that works. So I mean, yeah, I have no idea how that works.
Wouldn't it? Hey, can I pay you in Bitcoin? All right, cool. Yeah. I'm signing you. Hey, how about you? Can I pay you in Bitcoin?
and Bitcoin crashes again, right? That'd be fantastic.
Yeah, exactly.
So, I mean, like, I don't know how they're staying under the cap. Like, because like I don't know the inner workings of like how the salary cap works anyway. Just because with the whole Patrick Mahomes things, right? He's making $500 million, but he is still like only the 4th highest paid quarterback. I think it is, or something like that. So, I mean, when you look at it, when a quarterback takes up, a quarter of your salary cap, like how does the rest of the team work? Like, I don't understand how it all works, and I would like to speak to somebody that knows how it works, because how can we sign Marquez Valdes-Scantling to a $30 million deal, but we couldn't sign Tyreek Hill to a $30 million? Like, I don't understand like how that works.
Yeah, what's funny too is I think that was just a slap back at Tyreek. I think that's how that works. I think Tyreek was like, "Oh, we can't make a deal. All right, cool, I'm out." And then they're like, "Oh, okay, cool. Hey, Valdes-Scantling, you want his money plus some?" like, you know what I mean? I think that sometimes I really think that happens, because you look at players like who was it? The Patriots just recently, like they didn't sign who was the cornerback that they just like, Gilmore. They didn't want to sign Gilmore because they didn't want to pay him all that money, but then they give $9 million for a season for Butler to come back, who was about ready to retire. So you got one of the best cornerbacks in the game, and he wants, I think it was like 7.5 a year, and yet you go ahead and give this guy 9. Like, it was just, I think that's the way sometimes owners will work, as kind of like a backhanded, hey, all right, cool, watch this.
Yeah. So speaking of the Rams here, they signed Bobby Wagner. So sorry, it was a 5-year, $50 million deal.
Mhm.
They signed and they signed a wide receiver Brandon Powell to a 1-year extension. Matthew Stafford signed an extension for 4 years, $160 million, and then they just picked up your boy Allen Robertson III for a 3-year, $46.5 million team. Are the Rams the new version of the Golden State Warriors, of kind of like this all-star team?
Yeah, I mean, like the big three, right? Like
Right.
what LeBron's done over the years, and what teams continue to try and strive to do in the NBA. I mean, I guess you could kind of call them that, right? Like you can say, hey, look, I mean, the Rams want to run a mini dynasty. They want to be relevant, and they want to be Super Bowl contenders for the next 3 to 4 years. And they're going for it, right? Because you look at Matt Stafford, you don't think of Matt Stafford as one of those quarterbacks who will be playing like Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers till he's 42, do you?
Well, shoot, you think about it, I think he's only like 34 years old now, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
So that's what I'm saying. You got about a 4-year window.
Right.
You know, you got about a 4-year window where you just want to go all in, and you just want, for the next 4 years, we're gonna cap out. We're gonna have we're gonna be $250 million every single year for the next 4 years. We're gonna compete for the next 4 years, and then we can take a couple of years off and try to rebuild then. But for right now, we're just going all in, and we're going to sign everybody and their mother. Like I'm surprised they didn't trade to the Bears for Khalil Mack. This team is going all in. The Allen Robinson signing was a good signing for them.
Yeah.
He does take the place of Robert Woods. I think that they downgraded though from Robert Woods to Allen Robinson. Allen Robinson, I watched him for 4 years here in Chicago. A good player, don't get me wrong. Good wide receiver, a top 10 wide receiver in the game. Guy cannot go up and win a jump ball to save his life though. If he has a guy on him, he is not winning that jump ball, so he better be wide open. But I know we're running up against it, Buck. Before we get out of here, I do want to congratulate Aubrey and the Mount Greenwood Eagles girls 8th grade volleyball team who won their championship last night. So they are the league champions this year. They had a hell of a season, played their butts off all year long, and super proud of the girls and what they accomplished.
Yeah, so speaking of the Rams, if they win the Super Bowl again this year and make it to a Super Bowl like the following year, I wouldn't be surprised if we see the new norm of teams getting rid of all their first round and second round picks for the next 3 or 4 years to build a team right now to win. Just because one Super Bowl or two Super Bowls now is better than, I think, being average for the next 10 years, right?
Yeah, if you think about it in poker terms, right now they were sitting at the poker table, and they're at the final table, and they're the chip leader because they're the defending Super Bowl champions, and they've got pocket queens in their hand, and they're forcing you all in because that's what they're doing right now. They are going for it, and they're going to make you work to catch them.
All right, guys, that's going to be it for Man Hour tonight. Join us on Sunday. We'll be back. And then Monday, of course, Monday morning, 6 a.m., the morning show is live there as well. Combs, any last words before we head out for the weekend, man?
Man Hour Nation, rise up.